Well, you can have anybody install your equipment. And unfortunately, that's what a lot of times we see today. Because as Vogel, we go behind some of these other contractors and we see what they didn't do. Now, some people think that, well, it just comes to the factory set up for my home. And unfortunately, it doesn't. That's set up in a laboratory to function this way so they can rate it for this efficiency. So we have to do a similar thing, but we have to do that in your home. And that's where the commissioning comes in. So we check airflow, we check the temperature differences between the ductwork, we calibrate your gas pressure so that we know that the furnace is burning properly, checking the freon, making sure that you have a proper filtration system. All these things is part of the commissioning, and that's what really sets up your system for your home, giving you your efficiency.
I think choice of contractor is just as important as equipment choice, maybe even a little bit more important. Equipment is changing and evolving and improving all the time, but with that comes the necessity to be trained on it. Just like automobiles from 40 years ago, you could put your car up on blocks in the driveway and work on it and fix it and get it running just fine. Those days have changed. Car engines and car interiors are more computer generated and operated and controlled, and so is HVAC equipment. So weekend warriors really cannot work on their equipment. They can get it running, they can get it functioning, and they may have heat or cool for a while, but is it cost efficient? And is that equipment gonna last? And my answer would be no. You can get it working somewhat, but if you want it working to its maximum capacity and efficiency, it needs to be handled by a professional.
Vogel has processes, and unfortunately, a lot of other contractors don't have these. Processes that we have trained our employees that they are required to do with every installation. Setting gas pressure, checking airflow, checking freon, checking their temperature differences. All of that has to be documented on this sheet. And then that sheet then proves that we were able to set up that system to perform at that level.
There's also, if the customer gets an Ameren rebate, any kind of financing paperwork, they need to go over all that paperwork with the customer, and then they'll send that back into me. And then if the customer ever calls for a service call, we've got all that information in there.
That is something that we feel is so important that we need to be able to set the equipment up properly. We've also had to change them as well. We have to keep up with the times, so to speak. That's why we're so much better, or why we can separate ourselves from other contractors.